Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Gold Jacket Room. We got a great show coming up for you today on another edition with Spitball and Sam Bourquin, joined by Drew Sarachman and very special guest, the new beat writer, newly acquired beat writer from the Akron Beacon-Journal, our good friend Chris Easterling. So Chris has gone from covering high school and the Tigers to the Browns, and probably some similarities and some not so similar things there. We'll get into that as we move along. We want to thank the great folks here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame for allowing us to come in and use this beautiful set to do our show today. We also want to shout out our good friends at the Eagles FOE 190 in downtown Massillon, and our good friends at the Hilscher-Clarke Electric Company, and CH Vallos and Associates, McNeill and Sons Tree Service, the Spirit of Stark, and take a look at that beautiful pizza box right there. There's a big thing of chicken and JoJo's behind it. Lindseys Pizza. Shout out to John for his great support of everything we do here with the Stark Media YouTube channel and our Stark Media family as well. TJ Downing, by the way, taking care of our camera today, and we shout out to the big boy from The Ohio State University. All right, guys, we're going to get into a lot of stuff here today. We're going to start with football, NFL. We'll review, we'll preview, we'll dissect, we'll look back, we'll look forward. Obviously, with Chris here, we're going to talk a lot about the Cleveland Browns and the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we'll wrap up with a little gambling talk and some props and some side bets on the big 57 Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. But, guys, I first want to start, and we'll just kind of go back and forth. It's like we're hanging out at your favorite watering hole. NFL season in the books, regular season, all the playoffs. We await the big Super Bowl coming up in Glendale. But when I say 2022/23 NFL, first couple things that comes to your mind.
Quarterbacks getting hurt, and I think especially in the playoffs, a little bit of officiating. I think it seems like the officiating has become a thing, and in this neck of the woods, I'd say Deshaun Watson.
We're going to retouch on both of those comments. Drew, when I say NFL season wrap-up, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Chris hit the nail on the head. I think there was a lot of controversy throughout the season on officiating, on health of the quarterbacks, and he mentions the health of the quarterbacks. So I went back to look at it today, as we were prepping for the show. There were 17 quarterbacks that were their team's starter at the time that got hurt and missed multiple games due to an injury in the game. You had Lamar Jackson. I had to write him down because it's a long list.
It's okay,
Lamar Jackson, Trey Lance, Tua Tagovailoa, Zach Wilson, Kyler Murray, David Blau, Nick Foles, Teddy Bridgewater, Ryan Tannehill, Colt McCoy, Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, and Mac Jones were all their team's starter at a point in the game where they've gotten hurt and missed multiple games. Everyone complains about, we can't touch the quarterbacks anymore, but you look at the 49ers, what happened to them in the playoffs. If you don't have your quarterback, it's tough to win games. So I think the NFL has to keep protecting them.
Well, look what happened, guys, the last couple weeks of the regular season. Never mind the playoffs and that, such a tough break for Brock Purdy and Frisco. And, you want a fair fight. You didn't get one there. But look at the last couple weeks of the regular season. Teams were on their third/fourth string quarterbacks. Now, have they added a game? Yes, they have. They're playing 17 games now, 18 weeks, 3 preseason games. But you made a great point, Drew, about we got to protect the quarterbacks, but we also want to see guys play football. Mm-hmm. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? We're going to get into an interesting comment by the commissioner of the National Football League, Roger Goodell, that just came out a couple of minutes ago. I want to get into that. But where are we going here? Because you need to protect your assets. You got to protect your sport, but you got to protect the want of the viewer, your fan, your paying customer. They want to see football. It's a physical sport. They want to see the passion. They want to see those kind of things. What do we do?
Well, here's my thing is, how many of those injuries are just in the normal? We talk about protecting the quarterback. The Brock Purdy play. Do you say now you can't strip the ball while he's in the process?
Yeah, that was a freak thing.
Lamar Jackson. The last 2 years of Lamar Jackson's missed basically all of December and January because of injuries. But they're just sort of freak. And
to Lamar Jackson, that's his style of play. It's
right.
Which
adds a layer to their what they're going through in Baltimore with bringing him back and everything. But I mean, I think you almost have to go individual case by case, and what is just like you say, it's just the sport. At what point do you say that's just a sport? I mean, you signed up to play this sport, and look, I'm all for protecting, to a certain extent, the body weight
to an extent.
But I also think that you have to almost go case by case on how these injuries occurred before you render some sort of maybe it was just a bad year luck-wise in terms of injury. Now, that being said, I have to go back and look. I mean, last year you just look in the division last year, the AFC North. I mean, again, Lamar got hurt. Mm-hmm. So did Baker. Burrow's been hurt. Mm-hmm. Was coming off. I mean, last year was coming off of an injury. Roethlisberger, I mean, has been hurt
over time, ate him up and got to him.
He got there was the elbow that cost him a season and stuff. But I mean, I'd be curious to see if this was just an outlier or just I mean, just the byproduct of there's so much more context. I think that kind of has to go into that list and more than just. Well, this just
you get everything's on a case by case thing, and you look. They've added a game, guys. I'm going to tell you, and I would say this to a coach. I would say this to Roger Goodell. I'd say it to anybody right to their face. I think we need to start to maybe bring back and re-toughen training camp a little bit.
Yeah,
because I think we've seen what goes on, or what doesn't go on. They're not hitting as much. Some are not hitting at all. Guys are standing around or they're on a bike. And once the bullets start flying, that's how that feels. Ooh, This guy, 6'4", 270, chasing me down. I haven't had to run that fast since I checked into my hotel for training camp. I believe that's a big part of it. I do.
Yeah, and it's a violent game. I think one thing that could be a solution for the quarterback thing is have the NFL add another roster spot that's for quarterbacks only. There's so many teams that, have a revolving third quarterback on their roster. Mm-hmm. And maybe you have teams that pay a little bit more to someone like Jacoby Brissett and have another backup and a third string player.
Well, the thing is they need to bring back that number, the third quarterback rule that they used to have to like the 1990 or 91, mm-hmm. where, look, this third quarterback, it's outside of it's outside of the game day roster. Mm-hmm. It's outside. It basically hovers. At this point, I mean, they can keep a third quarterback. I mean, you can keep a third quarterback mm-hmm. active, but they're not going to because I can put a seventh DB, X number of DB, another defensive lineman, another offensive lineman. I can use that spot to.
What are they carrying now? Is it 53? Plus, in the practice squad is what?
The practice squad is 15.
Is it that high?
It's 15.
You might be right. You probably know.
15, 16. I knew it back in training camp.
Okay.
And then a lot of other things happen, but
so you're talking 53. So you're 53. You're close to maybe a total of 70 between your active and your practice squad.
You're like
it's still what happened.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that would alleviate some of the issues in terms of what happened in Philly. If the 49ers could have kept the third quarterback active and up instead of having to basically put him down.
And that was their third. They did a great job evaluating quarterbacks. They had 3 in their room that could win NFL games.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, and in all seriousness, how much of this conversation in terms of keeping a third quarterback active and all that stuff, I'm not saying the discussions didn't happen before Sunday around 4 o'clock, 2 Sundays ago, 4 o'clock. But at the same time, are we kind of caught in the moment where we just watched what are ostensibly the third and fourth string quarterbacks? Mm-hmm. I mean, for a football team that already lost, that had already sustained a significant a significant amount of erosion in their quarterback room because of injuries, are we just kind of getting caught in the moment? Because how many times do you see? I'm not saying it doesn't happen on a case-by-case basis, which is why they should, because, again, give you that emergency option. But at the same time, are we making it a bigger deal because we saw it on one of the biggest stages?
Probably. That's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, everything is right now. And
it's right now, knee-jerk reaction, Monday morning quarterback. It's the big stage. It's social media. Yeah, we're all going
right.
to
Yeah. I mean,
but I will tell you this: I'm sitting there trying to, and I didn't have a dog in the fight. When it comes to playoff games, especially AFC, NFC Championship Sunday, I want a couple of good games, and I want to see the guys out there that got them there.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, we were robbed. And we saw a horrible game. The Philadelphia, San Francisco was a horrible football game.
No, I'm not disputing that. I mean, but again, going back to what Drew said, I mean, balancing the protecting the assets, protection of the assets with remember when the concussion thing really became CTE really was part of that discussion is how do we balance? Look, we need to clean these things up because we need to take some of that stuff out of the game. But at the same time, it's just at the end of the day, when you step back and look at it, at its core, it is an incredibly violent,
it is.
quite frankly, barbaric. I love the sport. But at the same time, we can be honest, and
that's why you need depth.
But it's how do you can only legislate so much before it turns into what they played in Vegas on Sunday.
Yeah, that's true.
I just think that they're going to have to get together and get in a room, which I know they always do. They're talking about improving the game, improving the quality, this and that and the other, and we care about our players and this and that and the other. Well, okay. You added another game. So that kind of goes against everything. But I just want to know, what I think some days, what's going to look like 5, 10, 15 years from now. You've always heard that whisper in the background that, it's not going to be there. It will be flag football. And, they're bringing in new safer shoulder pads now. They're bringing in new, better equipped, higher technology helmets. But, guys are still getting hurt. The Brock Purdy thing. Guys are still having non-contact injuries. They might get their cleat caught in a little piece of turf, and we'll get into that conversation too. But there's so many different ways. But at the end of the day, you played, TJ played. Chris, I don't know, did you play?
Yeah, I played high school. I played.
Yeah, we all played, and we all knew. Now, granted, we weren't signing up for the NFL, but we were signing up to play football. We knew it was you're going to take a chance. And at the end of the day, that's where I kind of sit. You know what you're signing up for.
Yeah, no one's
deal with it.
Look, the worst injury I sustained in playing high school football, I tripped over a teammate trying to go make a tackle and broke my arm. So, if that's not on brand for me,
you lost your mic screen. You got all excited there. Your mic screen's on the floor.
Whatever.
Still thinking about that tackle. So they're going to have to figure out some stuff here. We continue our conversation here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Gold Jacket Room. Sam Bourquin, Sarachman, and Cleveland Browns beat reporter, our good friend Chris Easterling. Shout out to John Lindsay from Lindseys Pizza. Actually brought down some good stuff for us today. And don't forget, get your orders in right now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Get them in right now. Your orders for Super Bowl Sunday, because you'll be glad that you did, because they're going to be busy, and we want you to be able to get what you need to enjoy your big party on the big day coming up here on Sunday. All right, let's transition and talk about our good old friends, the officials. Roger Goodell just dropped a line about 15 minutes ago. He was asked at the State of the NFL address, which happens every year around this time, Roger, what are your thoughts on the officiating? And I quote from Roger Goodell, "I don't think it's ever been better." Help. Somebody help.
I've got one thought on the whole thing, and maybe two thoughts. Number one is, people were complaining about officiating in the playoffs. I don't believe the officiating in the playoffs was any different than it was in the regular season. I think it was equally I don't know if you want to say equally as bad, but
I'll
I
say
thought
it.
it was consistent.
I thought it was terrible.
I thought it was consistent to the regular season, what they've done, and I'm not saying that's good. But the thing that absolutely blows my mind is all the money that the NFL has. These officials are not full-time employees of the NFL. I know at one time, they had to, have other jobs, and some of these guys are very successful businessmen
Lawyers, businessmen,
outside of the
running
NFL,
corporations.
I think we've come to the point that there's so much on the line as far as money for the players, money to the public as gambling becomes, more prevalent. These officials should be full-time employees, and they should start to phase that in. So they're doing things to perfect their craft throughout the year.
I agree completely with that. I also think how much we're in like 7D, we're on, all these, we're crystal clear pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
8K, all this stuff.
We're 9 million. Let us show you the angle from the yard marker here. How much are we? And I'm not saying that I'm all for the keep the the human element in it. I'm not get the call right. But how much are we officiating to the millisecond,
Chris,
to the absolute split frame?
Yeah.
That what's a catch?
Yeah, right. We're still asking, in 2023, we're still asking what a catch is. Look, and I am glad you brought that point up. The officials are not watching and making these calls in slow motion, watching take by take by take by frame. That's not how the game is played. That's not how it's officiated. If people want to sit at home and I don't know. The hangnail. Who cares? You know what? Some of these plays just move on. It's not that. It's not that important. Some of these plays you need to just move the hell on and enjoy the sport. We don't need this over. What was the line by Marv Levy? You over officious jerk. We don't need. I don't want everything to be looked at through the magnifying glass. Every play. My God, every score is reviewed. Why? Somebody just ran 80 yards untouched into an end zone. You're going to review that? Really? What are we doing here?
Well,
what are we doing?
To that point, we go Zapruder film on a lot of things that I don't think need,
Exactly.
So don't need to. Do I think it would benefit? And they had this year where they had the expedited review, where they could. The booth was reviewing it, taking a look at it, and they were kind of making the call. I wouldn't mind this guy, Joe. I wouldn't.
Do they want it?
They probably
the officials don't want it.
The officials don't want it, but I would be for it. But at the same time, it's like, how much is too much? How much is God? I listened. I watched the college basketball game last night.
I wonder which game that was. Might have been in the SEC. It may have involved Arkansas, Kentucky.
But
my condolences. But
yeah, whatever.
That's a tough night for the Cats. What do you want me to do?
They must have gone to the review 4 or 5
Doesn't that drive you insane?
And it's like, can we get some flow here? It's like, I was like, why is the second half taking? Oh, that's right. We're on review number 4.
Right.
And we're not even to the 9-minute mark. It's like.
College football is getting
think
bad.
College football, college football,
4 hours. 4 hours.
Yeah. The other thing is I think it magnifies the mistake when you review it. And it makes everyone aware and remember the mistake. It used to be before instant replay, someone made a bad call, you were upset about it, and then you moved on.
Right.
Now we dwell on it for 10 minutes while they review it. Everyone's talking about it on social media.
Right.
There's 4 million tweets about, yeah, that's a catch. No, that's not a catch. And then we remember it. So the review process amplifies.
The review process,
everything.
Social media, everything kind of amplifies. Is it better or worse? I don't know. I think we're in a moment where, look, we had 2 conference championship games where there were a lot of flags.
I thought the Kansas City-Cincinnati game was awful.
Yeah.
And again, no dog in the fight. I thought it was awful.
But at the same time, I thought it. Watching the replay of the Joe Burrow. I mean, there's a couple of plays that the Joe Burrow intentional grounding. I thought that was intentional grounding. I mean, I'm
talking both ways. I thought it was horribly officiated.
But at the same time, I mean, it's like the Patrick Mahomes, the late hit on Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that's
you got to call that.
You got to call that because I was rewatching the Browns Buccaneers game, and there was a play, if people remember, like on the Browns' second drive where Jacoby Brissett was out of bounds, and then it was literally the same play by Jacoby Brissett. Late November instead of January. But at the same time, I mean, it's like, look, you got to call when you call. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. Are we? I mean, how can we quantify what's really better or worse from where we were 5 years ago? How do we? I think part of it is just the exposure. We are so overexposed in some regards.
Here's what I want to see. Now, you guys can comment on this. Here's what I want. As we all know, NFL officials, NBA officials, and I think for the most part, Major League Baseball umpires do not have to speak after the game.
Oh no, I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly with you that you can get you get a pool reporter, but you got to remember to you have to put in a request and you have to put it like almost instantaneously and we have to this and they. I mean, no, I think there needs to be more.
They're not held accountable.
Accountability.
They're not held accountable, and I think that is absurd. These guys aren't working for free, okay? They're making a lot of money, okay? So you should be – if you're getting – my thing has always been if you're making that amount of money, you damn well better be good at your job or you're fired. I don't care what you're doing. You're fired, okay?
Yeah.
Number two, because the officials don't have to talk to anybody and say why they called something or didn't call something, here's what I would like to know. How many games do we watch over the season? And we'll hear a commentator say or the play-by-play guy – Drew, Chris, in the NFL, college football, you could call holding on every play. Okay, fine. I want that official to look me in the eye, and I want to say, okay, sir, why did you call it here and you didn't call it over there? I want your reason and tell me why, and I'm not letting you out of the room until you tell me and explain to me why that call was made or wasn't. What's going on? Mm-hmm. That's where I sit.
Yeah,
I'm getting angry, but I don't care.
That's a problem. I mean, because it's
what's the reasoning that you throw a flag here but you don't throw one here?
They try to say, did this impact the play? But then, for the example, for our Browns, Myles Garrett, we have statistics. Pro Football Focus now is saying Myles Garrett has held held and double team more than
anybody
player
in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, of course that's going to outrage us,
Well, for us, yeah, but imagine there's a lot of other Myles Garrett situations with the other 31 NFL teams and their fan bases probably feeling the same way. I'm sure, some teams feel that Nick Bosa gets chopped and held, and I'm sure that T.J. Watt. It's everywhere. I mean, we got some great guys coming off the edge, rushers, what have you, and they're getting held and double teamed, and they seem to make plays. But I think everybody's looking and saying, okay, why? I mean, the old "it's good for the goose is good for the gander" thing. I just want to know why. I want these guys held accountable or get the hell out. Get out and go do something else.
I think one last thought on the subject is, I talk about these guys being full-time. Why not use guys that played in the NFL? Those quarterbacks that, maybe made a practice squad once or twice out of college, couldn't cut it. Hey, NFL, recruit those guys and say, you may not be able to play anymore, but we want to put you in the officiating academy. Like, wouldn't a lot of those guys want to play? Don't you think there's a lot of
Chris
you don't
says
think
no.
so, Chris?
He says we're out of it. We're done.
I don't know. I think some of these guys coming out of college might want to, if they can't get on an NFL roster, say, okay, here's my path to be involved in football still. I don't know. It's just a thought.
But listen, we just spent how long ranting about the officials. I mean, to this end, in the officials. It's a thankless job. I mean, why would you want to be an official?
Just to be a part of it.
Because, I mean, you literally – nobody says, hey, you called a great game. I mean, nobody does. I don't care what level we are getting progressively worse in terms of the discourse we have, and this is separate from the conversation we were having about the info. Nobody why would you want that? Why would you want that? We're getting worse and worse in terms of
you see it
the
all the way
interaction.
down.
I mean, all the way down to the youth. All the way down to the youth.
You talk about a thankless. Those guys aren't looking. All right, we could go on and on about this, and maybe at some point we will down the road. But hey, before we take a break and get into our next segment, let's just say I'm just going to throw it out there. What if there happens to be one of the most heinous, outrageous calls this Sunday that affects directly who wins the Super Bowl? What happens then?
I think that's when, again, this is...
Is that what it's going to take?
You're just going to basically have to... It's going to have to happen on that stage.
It would.
It would have to happen on the Super Bowl where you just... I'm trying to think of... I'm trying to think of... But I have to think just how bad of a call. What would
a tuck rule situation, a play like that,
and
impacted the game.
Never mind, the winner or the loser. Now the gambling comes into play. Can you imagine on an egregious, absolutely terrible, horrific call, and there's a swing of about $50 to $100 million to.
And the gambling's always been there, but now the NFL's promoting it.
Right.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Well, we got that to look forward to, I guess. We'll take a break. We are coming to you live from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Sam Bourquin, Drew Sarachman, our special guest today. Chris Easterling, beat reporter for the Browns for the Akron Beacon Journal. We'll step away. We'll come back with more. Stay with us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
The Fraternal Order of Eagles number 190 in Massillon wants you. Stop down to the Massillon ARE at 303 Wyrick Boulevard Northwest. And like our over 1,800 members experience daily, your Eagles membership will give you access to great food and drink specials. Having a party? Host it in our banquet facility and seat up to 400 people. When you're coming through downtown Massillon, stop by the Eagles and sign up. And for a small fee, you'll have access and be a part of a fraternity that donates over $100,000 a year to local charities. The Fraternal Order of Eagles ARE number 190 in downtown Massillon. Stop by or call us today at 330-832-7385. This is TJ Downing for Stark Media 99.7 FM and the free iHeartRadio app. And I want to talk to you today about our friends at Hilscher-Clarke. They are a local Stark County electrical contractor with more than 100 years of experience in the industrial, commercial, residential, and specialty markets. They have offices throughout Ohio, but have the capability to handle out-of-state work as well. They are one of the rare electrical contractors that perform a range of services from testing and data to design and engineering, functions typically handled by subcontractors. At their core, Hilscher-Clarke lives to do first things first. Faith, integrity, respect, selfless, and team. These core values aren't just words. They define who we are and how we conduct ourselves every day. For the best in electrical contracting services, contact our friends at Hilscher-Clarke today by going to www.hilscher-clarke.com. That's HILSCHER-CLARKE.com. Or stop down and see them at 519 4th Street Northwest in downtown Canton, or you can call them today at 234-571-2699.
Back here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the Stark Media YouTube channel, Sam Bourquin, special guest Chris Easterling from the Akron Beacon Journal, does a great job covering the Cleveland Browns. Drew Sarachman, former coach. I think he still wants to coach. And,
I don't know about that. Don't say that too loud. My wife will be down here in a second.
He lends a lot to what we're doing here. And again, we want to shout out to our good friends at Lindseys Pizza. Get your orders in for the big game coming up here on Sunday. Don't wait. You'll be glad you got your order in. All right, we've talked about a myriad of things so far. I want to go over to Drew real quickly with a little message for us about what's coming up, and some big announcements are headed our way.
Yeah, big announcements. It is Super Bowl week. With that comes the announcement for the new Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement class. Class of 2023 will be announced Thursday night during the NFL Honors Show. That NFL Honors Show starts at 9 p.m. It'll be on NBC, it'll be on Peacock, and it'll be on NFL Network. The announcement for the enshrinees for this year's 2023 class will be at 10 p.m. during that Honors Show. Obviously, we hope Joe Thomas is a first ballot Hall of Famer. In a little bit here, we'll have Jason from the Hall of Fame join us to talk about, some things that are here at the Hall specific to Super Bowl week. But make sure you're checking out that NFL Honors Show. They're going to hand out the MVP trophy, a lot of other awards, and like we said, announce that 2023 Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement class.
All right, so make sure you tune in. That's going to be a great, great show coming up Thursday night. We want you to check that out. All right, let's go into our Cleveland Browns. Chris, Drew, there's so much to unpack here. I don't know if we'll get to everything, but it has to start and it will probably end with the guy that wears number 4 on the back of his jersey, and that's Deshaun Watson. Chris, your thoughts as we kind of go back, we'll put a bow on this thing as we come full circle. Your thoughts the second you heard they were going to make that deal and what they gave up, how'd you feel in every way possible?
Oh, boy. Okay. I mean, that pretty much sums it up because, I mean, you're like, you know what they're giving up in terms of draft capital. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what they're giving up in terms of that's a lot of the future you're mortgaging. That's a lot of future cap space you're mortgaging. And let's just be honest. I mean, I don't know where you personally come down on it or where you personally you sacrificed a lot of public relations, a lot of goodwill, a lot of probably a lot of your fan base. I'm not going to put a percentage on it, but it's not insignificant, the amount of your fan base that...
It's enough to make you sit up and take notice, the percentage.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
I mean, to bring in a quarterback, which brings you to the next point, which is, look, we can be big boys, and if you're listening, watching big girls about this, when is the NFL, when it's pro sports, even big-time college sports, when have they really been about morality?
Never.
When a coach, I've said this before, when I see an owner keep a coach who's got a mediocre to bad record, but by God, he's great in the community. He gives so much. He gives so much to the community. You should see what he does for the Boys and Girls Club and all this stuff. When I see an owner do that, then I'll believe that morality is on Front Street for these. At the end of the day, these guys and women who work, a lot of them, I'm sure there are some in every organization who, and in the Browns organization who didn't want to bring Deshaun Watson here. But at the end of the day, the people whose jobs are on the line know, look, this team is not going – we're not going to keep our jobs if this team doesn't get itself an elite quarterback. Mm-hmm. And how are you going to get yourself – the only way you get your staff – you're not going to have that situation like this in a long, long time where you have an absolute elite quarterback available on the market because they do not get on the market. They just don't. If they get on the market, it's something like Aaron Rodgers, who's on the market because
towards the end of his career,
toward the end of in the twilight of his career. I mean, I'm dating myself here, but you remember when Montana got,
Oh yeah.
It's something like that. I mean, Joe
it's
Burrow.
Very rare.
It's very rare.
Very rare.
Maybe you get it with Lamar. I can see, but even. But
good quarterbacks don't change teams in their prime.
No, they don't.
No, there's no reason to.
So here's your opportunity. So you have to go out. I understand the why, and I understand the why from the fans. They're like, no, I'm done. So, and I understand the why from the people. Like, look, I lived through Red Right 88 and all this stuff, and.
They just want to win.
I just want to win. I didn't go back and make the trade. This isn't on my hands.
Right.
I just root for the laundry. So,
guys, and besides all the other factors that we've already talked about, oh, by the way, there's a little guarantee of $230 million that is unprecedented. I know there's still owners that are furious to this day of what Jimmy and Dee did with that quarterback situation with the money and the guarantee. I want to go here, and I haven't heard a lot of people go here. This is just how I feel. We talk about elite quarterbacks. We talk about Hall of Fame quarterbacks as we come to you from the Gold Jacket Room here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And we talked about Montana's and, of course, the Dan Marinos, the John Elways, the Steve Youngs, all the great quarterbacks. Tom Brady, he'll be here someday. Terry Bradshaw, I could go on and on. Let's talk elite, special, possible Hall of Fame quarterback, a possible Super Bowl winning quarterback. I'm not so sure Deshaun Watson is that guy.
Well, I think that's
I don't think I've seen enough. No, maybe I have seen enough. In his prime years with the Texans, guys, I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tape is obviously still out. I think we're going to have a better vision of that, next season when he's there for a whole year. But, he did some things in Houston that with not a lot around him that showed that he's pretty darn good. Let's not forget, when Patrick Mahomes won his Super Bowl, they were down, 21-0, I think, at one point, or
it was
big,
like
three scores to Deshaun Watson, who was lighting that team up.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's there. I think that's what Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are paid to do now. And obviously, I think this decision was made by Jimmy Haslam when it came down to it and the family. And, I think the deal is talked about so much as a hindrance to him. But I think, when you talk in the business world, to be a market disruptor, the Browns disrupted the market by making this deal. And you kind of want to be the first one, because now if Deshaun Watson's getting $230 guaranteed, what does Joe Burrow get? And what pressure does that put on the Bengals? Joe Burrow's going to
be the first $50 million a year.
So what pressure does that put on the Bengals? What does Lamar Jackson get? Well, we've got an issue right now because he wants guaranteed money because he sees Deshaun Watson get it. So I don't think the contract's as big as the player just coming out and performing, because whether they're paying him $200 million or $230 million, if he loses, they're all fired. So I think he's got. I'm not sold that he's the franchise guy that can lead you to the promised land. But I mean, like we said, it's how many opportunities do you have to get a quarterback as good as him in their prime? And they took a risk, and we'll see what happens.
We'll see, Chris.
Let's go back to last March, and remember, he said no originally.
Yeah, vehemently said no. He says, "I'm not going there."
$230 million guarantee is the price, the tax you paid to get him to Cleveland. We're assigning motives. At the end of the day, the only way you were getting him to come to Cleveland was fully guaranteeing $230.
The way they did it.
All of a sudden he liked it. All of a
sudden, playing in domes or New Orleans or Atlanta or Carolina, which were the other options.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I'll go play in bad weather in Northeast Ohio. No, he paid. Now, were there consequences? Were there tentacles off of it that maybe benefit the Browns in terms of with competition like Cincinnati or Baltimore? Congratulations, you won one. You got one over finally on. But at the same time, I think at the end of the day, the fully guaranteed contract was the price they paid to get him to Cleveland. Otherwise, I don't know who's playing quarterback.
I would love to know. You mentioned the Saints. I think maybe Atlanta may have been in.
It was the three NFC South teams that didn't have Tom Brady.
What do you think their apex offer was? What do you think?
Money-wise, you say
yes.
Money-wise? Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably wasn't guaranteed because of the legal implications, right? I mean,
I imagine.
Do you think it was $200 million?
But not fully guaranteed.
Okay.
I think it's the fully guaranteed. I'm not even convinced that they didn't get to something close to what the Browns did in terms of, we're just talking dollars in the contract. It's the fully guaranteed that,
would Deshaun have signed for, and I'm going to go a little bit, would he have signed for possibly $275 million with the Browns if it was not guaranteed? Because let's remember, guys, he needed a lot of money to pay a lot of people.
Again,
End of the day, that's it.
again the only money that how much of that was guaranteed. The 230 fully guaranteed is what got him to Cleveland, and that's the number. I mean, because I'm sure there was some negotiations involved.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there was a lot to do with that 5th year too.
Right.
Some of these other teams were only looking at 4 years, and the Browns threw that 5th year and fully guaranteed it, and I think that was the cherry on the top.
Yeah, I think that's where it all comes down to that.
I wonder about a lot of things there, but I'm anxious to see how this is all going to play out. And I think I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt on the football field wise. When you go almost 700 days without
exactly 700,
so that's a long time. I think if everybody in this room was away from their craft for 700 days, we'd probably be a little bit rusty in one way or the other. So I always kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt there, the training camp and getting to know the players and the schemes and the playbook and the coaching staff and everything else that's going on. I'll give you that. He doggone well better come out on fire this season, or there's going to be the whispers, and they're going to get loud in a hurry.
Well, I think that's the whole goal of this offseason. Look, anybody who expected Deshaun 2019, 2020 Deshaun or something remotely close to that.
No way.
After that long of a layoff, you were kidding yourself. And to be honest, I'd have to go back and listen to every single word that came out of somebody in the Browns front office or coaching staff's mouth. I don't think they did either. I think they knew that, look, we're playing for, especially once it went from 6 to 11.
Yeah. I don't want to say throwaway year, but
I think they knew
this is going to be this is almost like going to be an extended preseason.
Yeah,
to figure some things out.
But I think, talking to some people, about the rest, I expect a better pocket awareness from Deshaun next year. I think the fact because that's talking to people, that's the last thing that sort of comes back for a quarterback. You can do all the drills and
Absolutely.
Jordan Palmer and George Whitfield and do whatever,
run at
you with all the brooms and stuff. But it's nothing like, oh my God, I've got to avoid T.J. Watt coming from one side and Cam Hayward coming from the other. That's and getting that that mental TJ behind the camera, he knows about playing, having played. I mean, imagine, it's just something until you're out there, you can't get it.
Yeah.
And I expect Kevin Stefanski now knows what he has in Deshaun Watson. He's now been able to work with him for a year, less than a year, and now gets a full offseason to continue to work with him. And I think what you're going to see next year is an offense that truly accentuates what Deshaun wants to do and what makes Deshaun's comfortable doing. So we're not necessarily – I'm not saying they were always, pounding a square peg in a round hole. But I'm sure there were things. They had the Jacoby offense for 11 games, and then they had the Deshaun offense for 6. You're going to see the Deshaun offense, and it's going to be something that's tailored because Kevin Stefanski, Alex Van Pelt, Deshaun Watson.
They need to.
I know it's already happening. Mm-hmm. That they're having those conversations. That they're or what they're allowed to do. And I mean, I know there's some stipulations of contact and everything, but I think you're going to see an offense. If I had to guess, educatedly, watch Sunday. The team in green, watch that offense.
I'm happy you say that because
I think you see a lot of the kind of the things that we look at with the Browns, the Eagles have. Good offensive line, strong running game. A quarterback who, look,
is mobile.
This isn't Lamar. No, there's one Lamar Jackson, and you're not designing an offense like, you're not designing an offense like like you would if you're.
He'll never win anything though. Lamar's never going to win a Super Bowl.
Well, you have to build your whole team around.
You have to build your team around. And I think Lamar can say, but can he stay? I mean, I was a big believer coming out of college in Lamar. So I mean, maybe, but at the same time, Jalen Hurts is a similar style of quarterback in terms of how they use him in Philly to, I think, how they want to use Deshaun in Cleveland. I guess it's not running him 15 times a game.
No.
It's half that, if that. It's acknowledging that, look, there's just going to be times you're going to have to accept that at some point, sometimes he's just going to run into a sack because he's just going to, he's
extending the play.
Extending the play.
Yeah.
I mean, it just leaves you where, you just can't quite get that to the line of scrimmage. And, in the NFL, that's a sack.
Do you think, so when they decided, Kevin Stefanski was going to be back.
Oh, I know where you're going here, I think.
I watch Deshaun Watson in those 6 games in that offense, in this Kevin Stefanski offense, the multiple tight ends, the bootleg, the play action, the way they do it, the multiple different run schemes, the pin and pull, the outside zone, all these different things that they do. And I say that does not fit Deshaun Watson's skill set. That is not the best offense for him. Do you think that the coaching staff at Cleveland can say, okay, this is what we've done and this is our scheme, what we believe in, but for Deshaun, we may have to go more 11 personnel and have the 3 receivers on the field. We may have to do less under center with less tight end wing things that, we're trying to – can Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt look within and say, we have to drastically change the personnel and the system to fit what Deshaun does? Or are they going to say, we're the smartest guys in the room, this is our offense, Deshaun's good enough to play in it?
I just want to know, why won't Kevin give up the play calling?
Because then there's no reason to keep Kevin Stefanski as the head coach.
Yeah.
You hired him because of his play calling ability.
But
Can he coach?
Will he change his
full
scheme?
100% what he is supposed to do while he's busy with his nose into that IHOP menu? Can he do that?
Dude, or again, I'll go back to this Sunday's game. Watch Andy Reid during a game. Andy Reid's face is in the play sheet. I mean, this is.
You mean Eric Bieniemy's not calling plays?
No, I think Eric Bieniemy is heavily involved, and I think Alex Van Pelt's heavily involved.
I think those guys. Here's the deal. I think there should be 3 positions. I think it should be head coach. I think there is an offensive coordinator. Then I think there's an offensive play caller.
And Kevin Stefanski.
They're all separated.
And your play calls throughout the week are based on tendencies you see. With someone like Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt, and correct me if I'm wrong because you're up there all the time in the building, but it seems to me is most of their game plan is not feel play calling. It's not as the game goes. It's this is what we've seen.
Once they get off the script,
this is what we're going to do
they're
against
a disaster.
that. Because they rely so much on the information and the analytics and what they've seen. I
think this analytics thing is. I know who's perpetuating it out there amongst media types in Northeast Ohio, and I know where they're hearing it from outside of the within league circles and everything.
Mike Lombardi.
No.
It's overblown. I get the analytics thing's overblown.
But I want to go back to because I didn't get a chance to answer Drew's question before. They're going to. I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's the answer is. It's not Kevin Stefanski's offense. It's not Deshaun Watson. It's a meld of look. Let's put our minds together, and let's figure out how we scheme. How we take what we have because look. Mount Union guys, I've heard it from. If I've heard it from one Mount Union guy, again, I've heard it from a million. Players, formations, plays.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Look, there are players on that football team. Let's take it and figure out how we take these players, and I think there are good football players, a lot of good football players on that Browns offensive side. Let's take that and turn. How can we mold this into an offense that again makes for?
I agree with you.
Makes for the best, gives for the best version to be himself, best chance to be himself, be the best version.
Where
of
does
himself.
Nick Chubb fit here?
I think he fits. How does Miles Sanders fit?
Yeah, I think Nick Chubb is not. I think
if
the Browns
what you guys
hurt
are
Nick
talking
Chubb,
about is
but
going heavily away from what they have been the last several years.
I agree. I think they need to. They can't put.
And I'm not saying it's not a bad idea.
11
but you're talking
gaps
about
out there.
you're talking about
Yeah.
a big philosophy change here in
That's
a relatively
what I'm saying.
short
I think that's
amount of
what
time.
needs to happen to best fit Deshaun Watson. I think Nick Chubb runs the ball well out of the shotgun, and we don't see it because of his patience and his balance. And when you're running the ball out of a 3 wide receiver set, the space that's created by just one guy leaving the box helps someone like Nick Chubb, who is already making the first guy miss. I think it doesn't hurt Nick Chubb. I think it hurts him. Last year, I'm watching them as every time we're handing the ball off to Nick Chubb, we've got, 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, and he's running into the entire defense. I think by stretching the field, something we haven't been able to do with the pass, helps Nick Chubb. Now, do I think that we're going to run him, 27 times a game? No. But I don't think you have to be for him to be effective.
No, I think I keep going back to it, but Philly, I think, there's the, you bring in whoever it is, Jerome Ford next year, you just elevate Jerome Ford to kind of that number 2 back, or you get somebody in the draft or free agency, you bring somebody in to be that number 2. We always envisioned when they signed Kareem Hunt with something like that. Look, two series, 2x1 in terms of series. 2 for Nick, 1 for whomever back number 2 is. There's a happy balance there also because, look, you're not running your running backs 27 times a game.
You want to extend his career.
Look at Derrick Henry right now. Are we seeing the downside of Derrick Henry?
Probably.
Yep.
Because that started at Alabama because Nick Saban ran him into the ground.
And there's no one like him either. His size and everything. He's
except for Lane Kiffin in the Sugar Bowl because he apparently forgot him again.
Well, that Lane.
But yeah, I think your point is well taken, Chris, because you can do what and coaches are really good at this at every level, is looking to see what other coaches do that are making them successful. And say,
Copycat league.
How does that help us?
And I know this for a fact. I mean, I can. It's not a coincidence that what team came in and did a couple joint practices with the Browns back in August?
The Eagles. Yeah.
The Eagles. Mm-hmm. And who's probably the Browns going to go do a couple of joint practices with?
The Eagles.
The Eagles. I think, where is one Kevin Stefanski from?
Philly. Yeah.
I think you
can connect the dots there.
You can connect the dots there, but at the same time, I don't want to judge anything. I want to judge very little off of what you saw this last,
fair enough.
Including what we saw from what the offense looked like. Because let's be honest, Amari Cooper played 1 game healthy, truly or relatively healthy, with Deshaun before suffering the core muscle injury that basically you didn't know from play to play whether you were going to get, whether Amari was going to run. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I thought this past year was a kind of a breakthrough year for him. He established himself.
He was consistent. I mean, that was big.
But at the same time, you look at the number of targets. He didn't get that many targets with Deshaun. There's still a comfort level that needs. David Njoku. I think we saw David Njoku finally.
He just has to make the basic catch.
But I think he's a perfect
That's all
tight
he
end.
needs to do is be consistent.
Right.
There.
I think we saw that. There was a stretch there from, I want to say it was the first Pittsburgh game, week 3.
He had 8 catches against
Pittsburgh. He left the first Baltimore game, week 7. And then he missed a couple of games with a high ankle sprain. I'm trying to keep my David Njoku injuries this year. But that stretch was as good a stretch as
he was worth the money.
He was worth every dollar because he was becoming that tight end that they finally got out of him, that tight end that they were expecting. If he can, I mean, ifs and buts, candy and nuts.
Every day be a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
You're right.
But
all right. Well, with that, we got a halt here. We got a very special guest for the Pro Football Hall of Fame coming in. There's a lot of exciting things happening. We'll probably end up having to do this again, maybe to get into the defense, the hiring
before the draft,
of
maybe
Schwartz,
free agency. We'll get you back.
Schwartz coming in, and we'll get into all of that and get ready for the draft, and maybe we can coerce Chris to come back, and we can do that next time. We will step away. We'll come back more spitballing here on the Stark Media YouTube channel. Sam Bourquin, our special guest, Chris Easterling, and of course Drew Sarachman, back with more for the Gold Jacket Room of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Stay with us.
At CH Vallos and Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked CH Vallos and Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose CH Vallos and Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's CH Vallos and Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
You came to Stark Media for the best? Well, now you got it. Check out Lindseys Pizza on 2827 Whipple Avenue Northwest inside of the Hillsdale Shopping Center. The preferred post-game pizza of the Stark Media team is open until 11 p.m., and it has all the essentials for game day. Pizza, chicken, salads, and sandwiches are just a click away at lindseyspizza.com. But you should trust the former Ohio State All-American and just call them right now at 330-477-3800. 477-3800. This is TJ Downing for Lindseys Pizza, and I approve this message.
Back here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame as we get ready for the big game here on Sunday between Kansas City and Philadelphia. We've also talked a lot of Browns, a little officiating, and everything else maybe in between. Sam Bourquin and Drew Sarachman here, special guest for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Jason Aikens, who is right here, joining us here on set inside the Gold Jacket Room at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jason, first of all, thanks for coming by and
Sure, thanks for having me.
And taking a seat on these wonderful couches here. We were just talking before we came back in, 26 years for you here at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's right.
You have seen a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, I started here in 97, and thanks for saying that I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
But it was, I tell people it was my first real job, and Joe Horgan hired me. I think you know Joe.
Absolutely.
And I just said, I was just finishing up graduate school, and I sent a resume blind here, and they just happened to have an opening, and don't ever hesitate to, if there's someplace you want to work, knock on the door.
Yeah, you got
it was a couple of our Hall of Famers did that, like Dick Knight, Train Lane. Got sick of his factory job and went to the Los Angeles Rams training camp and brought his scrapbook and went to the coaches and said I was pretty good in junior college. Can you give me a tryout? And then Emlyn Tennell, one of our Hall of Famers back in the 50s, he showed up to Giants headquarters, and he played at Iowa and said, hey, can I try out? And they had no idea he was coming. But yeah, sometimes it works out. So just, don't ever hesitate wherever you want to work. You don't have to wait for the advertisement.
Yeah, that's a good point.
cool, yeah.
Jason, I'm going to have you move that microphone up to your mouth a little closer there so we can get you coming through loud and clear. Okay, so what are your duties here now at the Pro Football Hall of Fame? We'll get into the great things happening for Super Bowl Sunday. The gift shop's got things going. There's a lot of things happening.
Well, it's my role as curator to seek out all the new donations that we get from the season. I keep track of all the different things that are happening, and I get a lot of help from NFL communications, highlighting a lot of those things. But during the football season, I'm watching a lot of the records, and we talk about as a team, as our museum department, what are we looking for, what are we going after, and then then we have our Hall of Famers that are inducted, and then we are elected, and then we contact them and see what they have and see what we have from our collection, and we have our new class locker exhibit, and then we just have folks. The general public will offer us things. For instance, when you go downstairs, you'll see from the Akron Pros, we're the first champions of the NFL in 1920, and there's little gold football from that the team was given, everybody on the team, and that came from we have one of those gold footballs, and that came from a grandson from one of the players.
Okay, very cool.
So we get things just from the general public, and it's my job to make sure they're being preserved and displayed properly here at the Hall of Fame for all the fans to enjoy.
Cool. Some very special items are here, whether it's a helmet, football, jersey. You mentioned stuff from family members from days gone by. And I know a lot of folks like to, get kind of close to those things, maybe get some pictures taken or what have you. Now, you guys encourage that to be a very interactive place here. Is there gosh, I'm putting you on the spot. Is there a top one or two items here that you're like, whoa, that's pretty strong?
Well, we have the accounting ledger from the Allegheny Athletic Association, which shows William Putch Heffelfinger was the first paid player, and we mentioned that as the Pro Football's birth certificate. We also have some things from Tom Brady. you may have
That'll work.
That'll
work.
So we have his Super Bowl 36 jersey. He led that 2-minute drive and game-winning field goal over the Rams. And then we have a jersey of his in our Dynasty section. We have Bill Belichick's hoodie, one of his hoodies.
Are there holes in it?
Well, he cut
the sleeves, right?
The sleeves, yeah. So we have, we have those are. So we go the whole gamut. One of the newest things we got. It's really hard to get things from the postseason, from the playoffs, because the team is just so busy. Going from one venue to the next, but. We did manage to get Sam Hubbard from the Bengals. He had that 98-yard run, Ohio State guy. He gave us the football he recovered. That was the longest fumble return in playoff history. And so it's really hard to get things from the playoffs because just kind of it's just so quick and just everybody's super focused. And there's not a ton of those things, so it was really nice of the Bengals to do that for us. But and then we've got other J.J. Watt just announced his retirement, and we have his jersey from his final game, and that doesn't happen a lot because a lot of people, you never know if they're going to retire.
Right.
And, Ray Lewis, when he retired, he announced he was going to retire, and we contacted the team and said, can we have his uniform from his final game? And turned out his final game was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
you had to wait a little bit on that one.
Yeah, so that was the Bengals said, yeah, we'll give you his uniform from his final game, and turned out to be was the Super Bowl, so that we really lucked out on that. But that doesn't happen a lot. Where if you think back, like how often do people go into the season and say, "Hey, I'm retiring."
Yeah.
It's kind of a tough, hard thing to plan for because there's a lot of unknowns there.
Yeah.
Jason, so Sunday there's a very special day here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Tell the folks out there what is going on as far as admission, activities. I know there's a nice discount being given at the Pro Football Hall of Fame gift shop. What else is going on Sunday? We get some folks out to the hall and enjoy the big day.
Yeah, so I had to write all these down.
The paper is full, by the way. It is from top to bottom.
So this is all our regular admission price. You can register. We're giving away a flat screen in a class of 2023 football. Of course, the class is going to be announced tomorrow night.
Yep.
And then we're going to have a trivia contest throughout the building. We'll also have the Super Bowl 57 program and T-shirt available, and then 30% discount in the store, which is really great. I mean, you could probably save as much as your admission if you really go out and
do it right. You can walk out with a big bag for 30% off. That's nice.
I just saw. In our store we have some varsity, the old, the leather varsity jackets from some of the teams just came in, and then everybody gets a goodie bag from Pepsi. So that's a new thing we're doing. Generally in the past it was always kind of strange, that it was the Super Bowl and nothing. It was just a regular day.
Yeah.
And we should be doing something special. Of course, we in the past. The selection process, was announced at the voting was at the Super Bowl, and that's changed a little bit. So there's more staff here available. So this is a special time, and we hope everybody can make it out before the big game.
What time do we open the doors on Sunday?
At 9 a.m.
Okay.
So you have plenty of time to make it over.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't been here in a while, I know I talked to a lot of people in the area when we started filming our high school playoff shows here.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, man, the Hall of Fame, like, that room looks nice. It's like the last time I've been there is middle school field trip. You got to go.
Where you been?
Like, if you've been in Stark County or Akron area, you came here on a field trip when you were a kid. Like, you've got to come back and see the changes. It's awesome. And then one question I've got for you, Jason, as a curator here, you are kind of responsible for putting a lot of these things in place throughout the museum. And when current NFL players come in or rookies come in, what's it like to see their reaction to the things that you've placed out there and the displays you guys have put out?
I've seen a couple guys when they first when they see their bust on display, start crying, or their class locker. That's a really special. For instance, like Mick Tingelhoff is a great center for the Vikings. He brought his whole family over to see his display, and then John Lynch, GM of the 49ers, but was a great player, and when he saw his locker, he was really emotional, and so that really kind of makes it you put all this hard work and gathering all this stuff, and it really hits home how important it is. One of the things we were able to do this year, it was kind of a coincidence, is Kirk Cousins, the Minnesota Vikings quarterback. He visited in the off season. He, as kind of a father-son trip, came and we showed him around, and then he orchestrated the greatest comeback.
Yeah, 33-point deficit.
33 point. Yeah, and so we collected his jersey. His jersey's on exhibit here. And so in the same year as he visited, he also came as a rookie as well. And then we also have the kicker, Greg Joseph, who's spent a couple games with the Browns.
Yep, sure did.
But he kicked the game-winning field goal. And we have the shoe from Steve Christie, who kicked the game-winning field goal for the Bills.
The Bills.
Yeah, which was the previous greatest comeback, 32 points in 1992. So we couldn't get Greg's shoe right away because kickers, they want to they get on
They
a
break
streak.
those in and keep it there. Yeah.
You're not taking my shoe.
Yeah, so a lot of times we have to wait after the season or until they feel comfortable. They're hitting several in a row. And he had a 61 yarder to win the game too that year. He was incredible this past season, and I don't blame him. When you got a good thing going,
right? You're right.
Don't mess with it. But
right.
so we have those. That's an example of a guy that that he visited, and then he got his stuff on his artifacts on display.
It's cool. Yeah.
I wonder. I'm sure we've all watched the movie, the Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
And Jason, I got to ask you, being the curator here, and I don't know, but has there ever been a moment when it's been well past closing, and it's kind of a little dark and maybe even a little eerie, and we've heard rumors about the busts perhaps talking to each other in the middle of the night. Have you heard anything? Have you ever gone back there and heard any whispers?
No, I've been here pretty late. I've been here like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen then, right?
But but no, nothing's really happened. This used to be a part of the parks. So, there was Canton City Parks, and, we have a 99-year lease with the city of Canton. So nothing really ever bad happened here. So there hasn't been any,
Joe Namath's not bringing his dates on Hall of Fame weekend to show the bust after hours.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you could have somebody coming visiting late, but but no, nothing, so no, I wish there was something, people joke about that all the time, but thankfully we're on, nothing but pleasant things.
Good things to talk about.
Have happened here.
I had to ask that question because
I know John Madden believed it. Of course, who knows what happens when when the final
Step
person.
out,
who knows? If nobody is in here, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. Well, Jason, we appreciate you coming by.
Sure.
Again, kind of reiterate for us what's going on Sunday. I know that you open up at 9 a.m. for the there's just a huge day here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame this Sunday. What can people look forward to?
So again, we're gonna have a trivia contest. You're gonna see all the different artifacts from this past season. Like I mentioned with J.J. Watt, Brock Purdy, from his went from Mr. Irrelevant to
very relevant.
It's very relevant.
Right.
We have his jersey from his first game. He beat the GOAT. The Buccaneers, and you'll see, Tua Tagovailoa. I think I said it right. His jersey,
close enough.
Pretty good. Yeah, he tied an NFL record for 4 TDs in a game. Justin Jefferson, that spectacular catch he had against the Bills. We have his arm sleeve and his glove, and that was actually our most viewed tweet of all time on Instagram. Of all time when we had a picture of that. So you can see all the great artifacts from the season. This is Black History Month, so we've also created an exhibit on that. With Bill Willis and Marion Miley, a couple Cleveland Browns guys, reintegrated the NFL. So you can learn about some of the great things that the Cleveland Browns and Paul Brown and Bill Willis and Marion Miley have done, and then 30% discount, which if you do your math right, you can make up for
you can cover that
for the admission. So, and we'll have great trivia contests and giveaways with the flat screen in the class of 2023, and there's a Cleveland Brown player in there. So, hopefully they'll be. Will make all the local fans happy. So, some great opportunities here. So
very cool.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're looking forward to that, and folks, we'd love to see you here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame this Sunday. Come on over, spend a couple hours, have some fun, and then you get ready for the big game against Philadelphia in Kansas City. Before we wrap things up, I know we have to get a prediction or two here. Drew, what are you thinking? Eagles-Chiefs, about 6:40 kickoff in Arizona on Sunday. The Eagles are a slight favorite. I believe it's 1.5. The total was hovering around 48-49. But what are we looking at here?
Well, I think, a lot of times in the playoffs, the hot team. You go with the hot team. You also go with coaching experience. So, maybe you could say the Eagles are the hot team right now. Andy Reid's got obviously more experience in the playoffs than Sirianni. Matchup-wise, I think both teams have been playing really well. I love what the Eagles are doing on both offensive and defensive lines, where they're running the ball. I like the Eagles in this game. And I'm not sure, how healthy Patrick Mahomes is. His scrambling ability is a big part of his game. So I'm going to take the Eagles in this game, and as a 27-24 winner. And then I'll let you make your prediction, and I'll give you some of the bets that we like for this game.
All right, Jay, real quick, who you got a favorite on Sunday?
I know people with both teams, both great organizations. This is going to be a great Super Bowl. But the Chiefs have been there before, so I think that gives them a slight edge. That doesn't always work out right, where the team with more experience wins. But when it's such a close matchup like that, you kind of think, well, maybe the team with experience, but could go either way.
Well, I'll tell you what, he got right to it. Let me tell you. I feel in my heart that this is Philly's year. But sometimes you got to go against that. And I'm pretty sure that Patrick Mahomes, for at least 3 hours, that ankle could feel really good for him. And I love the way Andy Reid coaches. I love the way Sirianni coaches too. But I just got a hunch that it's going to be the Patty Mahomes. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts isn't quite ready for the bright lights yet, because I think he is. But these lights are more than bright. They're scorching hot. And I'm gonna go with Kansas City here, and I like them 29-24 on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think we're going to have a blowout either way. I think it's going to come down to a couple plays here and there. So, with gambling being legal in Ohio now, we can say this without getting in too much trouble.
Come on, Drew. It's sports betting.
And we're on
Embrace
YouTube.
it. Come on.
We're on YouTube. We can do whatever the hell we want.
Gambling's been around forever. It's the sports betting.
Yeah.
Now we're good.
So, there's a couple different things you can do. I've been getting into the same game parlays a lot. Those can get a little bit tricky, but a couple plays that I really like. Eagles -1.5 and Travis Kelce to score a touchdown. It's plus 305, so you're getting about 3-1 odds on that. So if you like the Eagles,
that's good.
And Kelce to score a touchdown in the game, which is very likely, you're getting 3-1 odds on that. Patrick Mahomes, I really like this bet too. Patrick Mahomes to throw exactly 2 touchdowns is plus 230. So you're getting 2-1 odds on they've been throwing touchdowns in the red zone, and I think the Eagles defense is good enough not to let him go crazy. So I think I like exactly 2 passing touchdowns. That's plus 230. And then to get a little bit, try to hit your big money here.
Here we go. All right, here we go.
So I really like this Eagles running back room, and Kenneth Gainwell has found ways to get in the end zone. So I like him as an anytime touchdown scorer paired with Travis Kelce, and you get plus 717 on that. So you're getting 7-1 odds on anytime touchdown scorer, Gainwell and Kelce, and then to add on top of that,
oh my God,
to even double your odds, here,
out of
15-1 plus 1500. Gainwell anytime touchdown score, Kelce anytime touchdown score, and Jerick McKinnon over 22.5 receiving yards. They've been using him a ton in the playoffs in the passing game. He caught a ton of passes the second half of the year. Last week he didn't catch a bunch of passes, but I think they're going to get back to that, especially with how good this Eagles defensive line is, getting him out of the backfield, trying to slow him down. So if you play that, Ken Gainwell, anytime touchdown score, Kelce, anytime touchdown score, and Jerick McKinnon over 22.5 receiving yards, that's going to pay you 15-1. $1,500 on a $100 bet.
Okay. And I'll assume our boy Drew is going through the Bet R sports betting here with the Pro Football Hall of Fame because they are the official partner here, so I'm sure you're going that route.
Absolutely.
All right, I've got 2 quickies, and we got to get out of here. I don't know the odds per se. Drew, you may know this off the top of your head. Number 1, there is a prop bet out there that each team will score in every quarter.
That's pretty good.
I like that
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Each team will score in every quarter. And hold on to your hats. This is my big play. There will be a safety on Super Bowl Sunday.
Wow. That's you're probably. I'll have to look, but safety's probably somewhere in the 12-1, maybe 15-1 odds to happen. Maybe even more. Maybe in the 20s, maybe low 20s for that to happen. So that's always good. Crazy scores happen.
I like it. I like it.
Crazy
I like
things
that.
happen.
Thus my 29-24 score. I like that safety being in there. Jason Aikens from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Thank you, my man, for coming by. Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Drew, always a pleasure to get together with you. We want to thank Chris Easterling from the Akron Beacon Journal. TJ behind the glass today. Folks, thanks for watching here from the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the Stark Media YouTube channel. Sam Bourquin saying so long and enjoy the rest of your week.
McNeill and Sons Tree Service serves the greater Northeast Ohio area by keeping your property clear all year round. Do you have trees that have stretched too close to your home? A rotted tree that has to go? Or perhaps even storm damage? No job is too big or small for McNeill and Sons. We specialize in large tree removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. McNeill and Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so contact us today at 330-606-1126 for all your tree care needs. Or visit us online at McNeillTree.com to schedule your free quote. The professionals at McNeill & Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep your family protected. So call today, 330-606-1126. McNeill & Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with family you can trust.
Chris McCready's and his team at Finally Hear Hearing Aid Center in Canton offer up over 30 years of experience for their customers who are hearing impaired. Head over to their website at finallyhearohio.com and schedule your free hearing aid test and evaluation today. They're a best of the best award-winning company that prides themselves on customer service. Stop down and see them at 1201 30th Street Northwest or contact them at 492-1212 for an appointment. And thank you for sponsoring Stark Media's finallyhearohio.com Player of the Game.